afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have one more dignitary, the third one, and it's becoming a really great tradition for us to have our former students, I mean our alumni and those who could tell you quite a lot about what we are doing here, what did they do before, and what we are now also getting involved through the engaged learning. How it is beneficial for the UVU, for each of you as well, and in the global scale as well. Yeah. So that's why a great introduction, and for that purpose, Janet, if we could come and introduce our guest, Jesler Molina, and then after that I'll share the screen. Yeah?
Okay. Originally from Caracas, Venezuela, Jesler Molina graduated from Utah Valley University with a bachelor's degree in political science with a dual concentration on international relations and American government. He also obtained a Master of Business Administration in 2018 from the same school. Jesler is currently a policy analyst for the Office of Professional Licensure Review of the Utah Department of Commerce. In his role, he reviews and makes policy recommendations for the current requirements for each regulated occupation in the state of Utah. He also analyzes licensure requirements for internationally trained applicants who are trying to join the workforce. Finally, he serves as a liaison between the international trained application team and other departments that are implementing policies to ease the licensure process for ITA. Jesler also serves on the Venezuelan Alliance of Utah Board, an organization founded to channel teamwork between different Venezuelan NGOs and lobby in pro of the Venezuelan community who lives in Utah. Mr. Jesler Molina.
What do you want to do next? I got it. Yeah, don't worry. Thank you guys and welcome. Thanks for the introduction. So, okay, my name is Jesler Molina and happy to be here. And it's funny, I was like you guys like a few years ago. 2011 I started with Beck, and then all the way to 2015 that I passed it to UIMF. And then, yeah, since then I just pretty much been working and doing my stuff. But it's good to see this program keep going and growing and growing. And, you know, it's good to see that something that you worked so hard on during those years, you know, there's still legacy and you guys care about that. So let me tell you how I started at the UIMF. So back in 2011, I come from a country where I was involved with the Model United Nations. So we were pretty big on that. We were pretty big on hosting conference, going competitions worldwide, nationally, and so on. So my first intention was, when I came to UVU, let's create a Model UN club. There wasn't any around. So the club was created in 2011. At the same time, UIMF was creating itself. So it was like a symphony, right? We doing more like the mock-up of being in the United Nations. I would say the UIMF was doing more policy and recommendations to the United Nations. So I joined John McClure, who you met last time, and others in those efforts. You know, it was great. And one of our first achievements, I would say, from the Model UN Club was to go to the United Nations. That hasn't been done previous to this day. On September 25th, 2012, we were able to attend the United Nations, invited by different delegations. I was invited by the delegation of Hungary, and I don't remember my partners who they were with. But it was a great experience because we were for the opening ceremony of the UN, which is when all the presidents from different parts of the world, and either the presidents or the Secretary of State or those key individuals will come to the UN and talk and share their policy and what they're going to be doing and what they're looking forward for the next coming year. It was the first time that I saw actually Barack Obama speaking in public. We were able to sit at the atrium, at the top level part of the United Nations General Assembly. And I believe Mara was a lucky one because she was able to sit downstairs with the delegate. I think Austria was the one that hosted her. So we're sitting at the top balcony, she was sitting at the bottom balcony, and we just went through these different presidents. And it's an interesting dynamics because the opening is Brazil, right? And Brazil opens the floor and you see everything packed because next after Brazil is the United States, and then it goes down to different other delegations. Hold on a second, my wife is calling me and I need to take this. Let's see. Anyway, sorry guys.
By the way, here you could see guys, Makoto, Paolo Makoto Ambrosio, he's the second on the left, yeah? He is now the member of the parliament in Guinea-Bissau.
Where? Guinea-Bissau.
In Africa,
Yeah.
He is UAU.
So you can say this is the original Model UN team, the one that went to compete on the first Far West, but also went to the UN. So again, back to the dynamics. The dynamics was interesting because you see Brazil, you see the whole floor packed, and then you see the United States, Barack Obama speaking, and then I think was Lula da Silva speaking, or when he opened. And then after the United States, the whole room pretty much empties out. You get some delegates still stay around and they keep going on pretty much 30 minutes to an hour base. There is a break in between for lunch, and then they keep going, and then the countries that don't send like presidents or like key staff member, they will talk like a big night or something like that. Another interesting part of the dynamics is the New York City as a whole. Everything around the United Nations, you need to have a credential to go through and even get closer, and you have to pass like 5 checkpoints before you make it to the UN, plus the UN checkpoint. So we saw all that. We saw the prince, it was the prince or the king of Qatar just walking down the streets, and you see all the restaurants packed with important people, top security. We saw the caravan of I think Iran was there, and they were escorting the guys like with Secret Service and bunch of like security, but then during the session, I had the opportunity to go downstairs to the cafeteria, and I was like, oh, let's get a water, and I went with Cockerham, by the way, and I saw the president of Colombia. So he was there, just chilling, eating some potato chips and drinking I think it was a Coke or something like that, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna approach him, and he had a security ring that was like pretty much all the way to that table, so no one was around him. And I just step in and introduce myself. Hey, I'm a student with you. I'm here to listen to the General Assembly. Can I talk to you for a second and take a picture? And he said yes. So because I did that, I got my first picture with the president. The second one was on the second floor with Lobos, who used to be the president of Honduras. He went all the way up to the balcony. I don't know why. He was just talking to his rep, super chill, and I was like, oh, that's Lobos. So again, took a picture with Lobos, and I think Mara got a picture with him, Jordan as well. But then Mara did something that we couldn't do. She was downstairs on the floor, and Mahmoud Abbas from the Palestine, I think it's ML, yeah, the Palestinian Authority, he was speaking at the UN that day. She saw him and she approached him and he had like 3 different security rings, like really tight. And she's like, hey, can I take a picture with you? And he pretty much pulled his hand and grabbed her and pulled her in. Aww. And we saw all that and we're like, wow. So she took a picture with him. So she wins that day because of the level of security he had. But it was a great experience in general to listen, to be in a setting like the UN, listening to all these presidents, being able to interact with dignitaries for the first time, and see how things roll and work. It's super interesting. So that's the first thing that we did that was amazing. And then at the same time, We had this great idea starting in 2011, where we say, hey, let's bring multi-sustainable development down to the high school students. So we hosted a first one. I wasn't in charge of that one. I hosted the second one, where we talk about sustainable energy for mountain communities, and we had high school students actually write really good essays. I'll tell you, they were like college level essays about sustainability and mountain development. So we did that, we got it published. They were super happy. We picked the best ones, and they were we had them present at the Orange Library on March 30th, 2012. They come up with these great ideas that when we published them in the journal, we know it got traction because they were like, oh, high school students are writing this, and they're getting this type of interaction with you guys. So that's how we start, I guess, planting the seeds of what is UIMF right now. From there, we got invited to contribute to our research document for Rio+20, the Sustainable Mountain Development. This is the first time that we are strongly advocating for mountain sustainability in a major journal. So I was among those students, like Beck said. Here I worked with Nico. I don't know what's Nico doing. I lost contact with him after that. But we did Sierra Madre mountain range, which is everything across California down to the south part of Mexico. And it was pretty much highlighting that, you know, how different is the mountain sustainability and development in different part of the North American region, whether it's the United States, Canada, and then we go all the way down to Mexico, where sometimes these mountain areas are not as developed as Utah or Colorado, or so on and so on. So great research, super hard because I have to read stuff in Spanish, translate it into English, and this is back in 2012 when the Mexican government didn't have most of their stuff online, so it was, you know, yeah, it was looking at early 90s website, trying to pull information, see which links were not broken, and maybe you'll find it today was good and next day was broken. So, but still, it was great to have this research because this opened the door to what you guys are doing right now, and this will open the door to what's coming next from the UIMF. This is 2014 when we host, I forgot her name, Somini Segupta, about the ISIS Ebola bodies that fell from the sky, a view of the global crisis from the UN. Again, this is awesome. Keeping approaching that UN idea. Let's see how we can keep getting to let's see how we can get to the UN not only as an invited body, you know, from missions and all that, but also, you know, have a more stronger impact within the UN, especially with our agenda, which is mountain sustainability and also the women in the mountains. So here's what I feel we start hitting that goal, right? When we hosted the president of the ECOSOC and Rusty Butler, and that's a different office. That office used to be, trying to think.
International Affairs and Diplomacy.
Yeah, but that old office used to be by the business building. So that's where that picture was taken. But it was good to host Mr. Sajid because that opened the door for us to say, okay, now we have an agenda that is taking the attention of the UN, that is getting the attention of the ECOSOC. Now we can say mountain sustainability hopefully can be implemented after the Rio+20 conference, after meeting with him, can be something that was implemented at the UN sustainability goals. And again, it was a great connection for what comes next. Let me tell you from this picture, I just want to highlight, for example, this, let's see, Lisa Shepard. She is right now running for state legislature. She has been really active in politics. And I just want to show you how, you know, by being involved in the UIMF, some individuals were able to get into politics. Tony Medina, you know Tony, he was here speaking last time. Who else? Salif is working for Goldman Sachs. He's an analyst in Goldman Sachs, making top money, I'll tell you. And then Jiva, he's from Mali, and he went and opened his own NGO in Mali to help his people. Really successful in the NGO sector right now in Africa. So those are key individuals that have been able to keep pursuing a political career, including myself.
Is that Amy on Barnett on the far right?
Yeah, this is Amy, this is Rusty, this is Rusty's wife, right? First wife? Yeah.
That's so cool. They look a little different, but same all the same time.
Yeah. Much younger.
Wait, how old was that picture taken? What year?
2015. Yeah.
It's almost been 10 years.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it has almost like
Yeah, so here's, I think, when we finally opened that door. Where I feel UBU finally got the attention that we were looking for the UIMF, for their school, from the UN. So here's what happened. We get invited in December 11 of 2013 to be at the Open Working Group session of Sustainable Development Goals. We're invited, we are saying, okay, come as an observer. And we're like, okay, sure, we're gonna go. We get invited by the Ambassador Kurosi and Kamau, who are the two gentlemen in the center here. We're like, sure, we're going. I mean, it's gonna be a great time. It's a different time at the UN. It's not open session, so much flexible. We can, do more stuff, I think. And then, I don't remember what day was that, but we go the first day, we go the second day. On the second day night, Mr. Rusty Butler called me and said, Jesler, we have a unique opportunity. I talked to Kurosi, and we are able to speak tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the Open Working Session Group. And I was like,
It's stressful.
yeah. So I was like, what do you mean? Like, yes, we need to prepare a speech. Yeah, because I was like, hold on, we have the opportunity. So, and it was Rusty. Who else was from the students? It was
Carlos Alarco.
Oh, Carlos Alarco, Rusty, Beck.
And President UIMF at the time. No, I didn't go there.
No, Carlos, Rusty, and myself, right?
And one more.
And there was one more person. So anyways, and he's like, yeah, this is a unique opportunity. We have the opportunity to speak at the floor, and we want you to speak. And I was like, okay. So how are we gonna do this? And he's talking to me around 9 p.m. Because we went, like Carlos Alarco and myself went on our trip to New York, have dinner, and Rusty stayed with important people. And he's like, well, we need to prepare a speech, and you're gonna present that. We have to be there at 8 a.m. to be able to sit down on the floor. So he called Beck. Beck called me and said, okay, we're gonna be preparing something, start working on something. So we start all working on something. At the same time, got the document together. It was like, I think, 2-3 pages long. Shocked next morning, all nervous because I was the youngest one on the floor. Sit down on a corner, and they say, yeah, just sit here, just wait your turn. And at this time, I just let, like, I think 2 big organizations speak on behalf of this. And they're like, and after those 2, I start, pushing the button, asking, because you have to request the time to be, to speak. And I start requesting time. And then we get to the last minute, and they say, well, this is the last intervention. And I'm like, dang, either we do it or we don't do it. So I keep requesting. I remember Ambassador Kurosi pointing out to Kamau, hey, give it to this guy. And they just gave me the intervention and said, you have 30 seconds. No, you have 1 minute just to present. So this is like 3 minutes easily speech, and I have to present it in 1 minute. And we were tight, like at 1 minute I will be stopped, and that's it. So I have to remember what we wrote.
Well,
I have to summarize all of it, and I think, do you have the video still?
LDCs.
Yeah.
Less developed states. It was not about mountains.
No, but it was less developed states, yeah. But still, we were talking about LDCs and the impact of LDCs and all that. So anyways, I did that presentation in less than a minute, and literally at the minute they just say, okay, thank you. And I'm like, all right. And I was scared before, I'm not anymore, but I think that opens the door to a lot that came after, especially having more students intervene at the UN, more involved with the UN-related stuff, and having the UN paying more attention to students like us. I mean, who thought that students from Utah would be able to do this? Who thought that a project that we had, like back in 2011, will actually be part of the Sustainable Development Goals later on? So things like that, I feel, again, thanks to John and all the people that I worked, well, John was the previous president, but all the people that worked with me during that time, and Beck especially, we were able to achieve this. So that's the participation. Yeah, this is the invitation that we get from Hungary to go and present at that working group. Brian Birch was there. That's what I was like. Brian Birch, myself, Carlos. So then we go to the Women of the Mountain Conference. This is something we have been hosting for years and years. We hosted it in 2015, the April conference. Are you guys still doing this one?
Yes, a little.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go, Yanis. It's a really stressful conference, I'll tell you. Is this the one where I was in crutches? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, no? So I sprained my ankle during that time, and I was in crutches across UVU campus. So yeah, it was horrible. And your mom helped me a lot. I'll say Dean was savior during that time, but I would go from LA, from liberal arts all the way to the student center in crutches. Yeah, I was tired by the end of the conference. But it's such an interesting environment because you start bringing scholars, you start bringing people who has been studying this stuff for years, sustainable development, women impact, mountain sustainability, which hasn't been talked as much until you start like pushing that agenda. So you're getting interesting speakers, politicians, governmental officials coming to campus, and the most important part, you're hosting them. You're able to interact one-on-one with them, and you can ask them, hey, so tell me, how do you get here? You know, if I want to be a diplomat, what should I do? If I want to work in, I don't know, at the State Department level, if I want to work in government, if I want to do research, and that honestly people that is down to earth, and they will tell you, this is what you should do, or this is what I did that worked for me. Maybe for you it's different, but hey, let's keep in touch, and I'll send you some tips and connect you with so and so that can help you out. So this is, I will say, a conference that if you guys have the chance all to be there, attend and be part of it because it will be great. And then we have the report here where we are mentioned actually. The Utah International Mountain Forum hosted the 4th International Women of the Mountain Conference at Utah Valley University in 2015. So we keep seeing our name like, oh, UVU is hosting stuff that is related to the UN, and we are aware of you guys. Not a lot of schools will be able to say, oh, our school is mentioned, or our organization is mentioned in a General Assembly report. Then we hosted both co-chairs that opened the door for us. There are two, this is the 2023, but I think Kurosi came before that, right?
Oh, he came in 12.
Yeah, he came.
Before,
yeah, he came in 2012. That's when we started a relationship with Kurosi that opened the committee for us. And well,
he was ambassador, right?
Yes, when he came the first time, he wasn't the chair. He was just representing as an ambassador. Now, I think when he came in 2023, he's the chair of the ECOSOC, right?
He was the president of the General Assembly.
President of the General Assembly, there we go. So last time that he came, and it was good to reconnect with those two individuals, because again, it gave me an opportunity that is unique and I will treasure for forever.
Networking, yeah.
Huh? Yeah, and also networking, For me, it was asking them, how do you get to this level? What did you do? And you'll be interested to know, and it's a similar story like Beck. Most of the dignitaries at the UN, some of them might have a diplomatic career. Some of them were actually guys that were brought into the diplomatic world because they were, in a key position within the government and they were given the opportunity. I don't remember who I talked to at one point, and he said, I was just an engineer, similar to Beck. I was an engineer back in my home country, and I was appointed to this department, and they were like, well, you know, you will be good as a UN ambassador, and he was appointed, and since then he has been doing that. I think was one of the visitors we had. But during that time, we were having constant, and I'm talking to you, 2015, we were having so many diplomats coming into campus. Israel, Kenya, we have, trying to think, Kyrgyzstan, we have Afghanistan, we have so many people coming to campus that it was a really good interaction. Plus these two individuals, both Ambassador Kamara and Ambassador Korosi opened the door so much for us. They were like, oh, UVU, great, yeah, I want to come. They will go back to the union and say, hey, you know, come to UVU, come to Utah, it's a great place, I will treat you well. At that time, Rusty will take them to everywhere in the state pretty much, and they will be so well treated that yeah, they will be happy to come back anytime. And then, I wasn't thinking of putting this here, but sure, Beck put it there, but I was recognized for my Global Engagement Award with the 2018 Atlas Award. But I think this award, more than say, hey, you know, this is for all the job that I did, is what I like about this award is that, you know, whatever I was doing back then, and back to my first point, all the time that I spent with Beck, the 2 a.m. calls, working until 3 a.m. on different like write-ups or whatever that we have to send to the UN, planning the Women of the Mountains, reading essays and so on. I can see that continuing, right? And I can see you guys doing that job and taking advantage of that, because that's the most important part. If you can take advantage of that, learn that, and hopefully apply to your resumes, that you know, that's what gives me more honor than just a prize. And that's where I get to where I am right now. So for me, and I think for everyone in the UIMF, we have to take different paths to get where we wanted to be. John, I know he went to law school, he did his own stuff, now he's consulting. Tony, I listened to Tony, again, different pathway, and he ended up in the Secret Service. For me, it was the same. I graduated, I was trying to figure out Utah. Utah is an interesting dynamics of politics. So I decided to go into, I got an opportunity as a recruiter, HR. So I took it, I was like, why not? I like that, I did that for 8 years. But in the meantime, I keep being involved with the community, doing a lot of outreach and engagement, especially from the Venezuelan standpoint. That's when I started creating the Venezuelan Alliance of Utah, and that gave me the connection, that keep giving me the connections so I was told at one point, hey, this position is open, you should apply, and I was like, okay, sure. But when I was applying, I was like, well, I haven't done policy for years now. What can I bring to the table? And what's the UIMF? Because I'm in an analysis role where I can be like, okay, sure, I've been reading policy, I can implement policy, HR has policy-related stuff, but like my whole research, my whole academic life on that part was the UIMF. So the first person who I logically called for reference was Beck, and say, hey Beck, I'm applying to this role. It will have a policy research part of it. It will also have a community outreach part of it, which I have covered. I just need your support on this one. And Beck wrote this amazing letter, which I think he has like 20 or more letters of reference from me that I've been requesting over the years. But I got the role after, like, what, one phone interview, 1, 2, 3, 3 more in-person interviews, you know, on the same day I got the position. And I'll tell you, I love it because it's what I actually have planned for my future, working policy, working government, without leaving the state, which is a hard part. Most of you will be like, oh, you know, it's tough to get in there, and I agree with you. Some of you might have to leave the state to a much bigger city where to work for NGOs or to work for other departments. But at least I can say the Department of Commerce has, under the new administration and Margaret Bossy leadership, has opened the doors to positions like mine. So to tell you about my office, it's a brand new office. So that's what I like about it. It's a totally brand new office. It has a year. since its creation, and it was created with the purpose of reviewing new occupation, I'm going to read this, Opler reviews all proposals for new occupational regulations, licensing, certification, registration in the state, as well as review the current requirements for each regulated occupation once every 10 years. So to explain to you in a much easier language is, you need a license to be a doctor. So we're going to review that license once every 10 years, make recommendations if we feel that, hey, you know, it has to be adjusted, whether it's increased hours or diminished hours, whatever we feel like after we do our research. Because it's not like we just, oh, I feel like we should regulate. No, we use a lot of data. We do a lot of empirical analysis. We do a lot of research, not only from Utah, but other states. We gather data from the public. We gather data with the stakeholders. We meet with a ton of people for a full year before we are like making our recommendations. So that's what we do in Opler. And we just did a research, and I'm going to pull this up here. Can I open here, internet? Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So you have an idea. Oops, that's US, sorry. There we go. So you have an idea. We have application, publications. So this is last year's publication. So I got into the job, was it March, I believe, or May, and then they were already working on reviewing behavioral health. But this is a dense 200 pages review of the behavioral health licensure. What we did is like, hey, behavioral health is an issue in the state. It's a really big issue that needs to be solved. And how does licensure impact that? So we did a whole analysis on the licensure for each behavioral health license. That includes social workers, psychologists, family therapists, etc. And from there, we draw our recommendations from our research, talking to stakeholders, analyzing data. But we didn't stop there. We also connected dots of, hey, how much higher ed needs to be involved in the discussion, how much other entities within the state, insurance and so on, needs to be involved. So this is our periodic review. This is the full report, but then also we have sub-reports or mini reports on each one of the professions that we did. So this year is in the legislature under SB 26. If you want to look at it, yesterday we were at the legislature because it was passing the House committee, and it did pass because there's a lot of support behind this bill, including the governor. And then it goes to the House floor and it will become a law. And then some of the stuff that we're proposing, I can tell you, is there is a gap between the professionals who support this industry and, let's say, the regular med school professionals. So if you look at it, I don't want to try to pull it out here with the full report. Oh, the technical summary actually should work. I think we have the graphic here. Maybe not. So we have, if we talk about, no, close. I don't know what it is. Okay. If we talk about the way that healthcare professionals get into the workforce, it's a pyramid. It's a pyramid shape, and usually the top part of the pyramid are those MD physicians and important people, that goes to school and graduated and become specialized. But the bottom part is supplied by, and I'm trying to look at the graphic, guys, here. The bottom part is supported by a bunch of individuals, students, nurses, etc., that get that training and knowledge, and then eventually support the physicians. In mental health, it's totally different. I don't know which the pyramid here. Anyways, kind of fun. In mental health, it's totally different. Mental health, the pyramid is inverse. So where you have the top of the pyramid made of all your experts. So these are like psychologists, social workers, etc. And for this, you need to have either a master's degree or a PhD to be a clinician level. While at the bottom part are usually the undergrad students. Everyone who just finished a psychology degree or a social work degree that are not able to provide support or provide support at this moment to these people here. So there is a gap because it's inverted. These guys cannot support, they cannot provide any type of training or any type of consultation to individuals, so it's increasing the crisis. So what we're saying is we're creating a certification right now. For example, we're recommending to create a certification right now that will help ease this process by allowing these individuals get it within their bachelor's degree, get a certification in a year for mental health professional, and then you should be able to practice at some level without having to be a clinician, so if you don't want to go into PhD or master level. That's some of the cool stuff that we do. And again, I do a ton of policy analysis, a ton of research for not only Utah, but I see policies in other states. I read the statutes, codes from other states. I do a lot of interdepartmental collaboration. I know it's a big word. In other words, I work with not only my foreign credential or the international credentialing team in the DOPL, but also I work with the international credentialing team in USBE and check with other departments to see what they're doing to implement or ease the process for international people to acquire license. And then HB 58, that's one of the bills we have right now. That's to see if we can develop new pathways for international trained individuals to join the workforce, especially in sociology, accounting, physicians, and so on and so on. And HB 26 is the behavioral health one. So lessons that I learned from being in the UIMF, I'll say never give up. I mean, when we were starting this, we were like, oh, come on, Beck, it's not going to go anywhere. They're not going to pay attention to us. And Beck was like, yes, keep pushing, let's document, and let's send this email, and let's send this research, and sometimes we'll prepare the language that will go into the General Assembly draft, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, there we go. We never give up, and you guys are here, so it means it worked. Trust, trust Beck first. I'll say that, because believe me, we all doubted him.
Mutually.
Yeah, but we are like, oh, come on, Beck, really? Yeah, trust Beck, trust the team. And that goes back to my point 3. You need to trust your team, whoever you're working with, because it's going to become a family in the long run. I mean, you're going to keep in contact. You're going to see they're going to different places than you, but at the end, we're all part of the UIMF family. And again, back to point number 4, keep in contact. And you never know where someone from the UIMF is going to be down the road. Some of us might be able to jump, or some of you might even be able to join the policy political spectrum faster than others. But that's okay, that's part of life, and then if you still want to do it, just keep trying, and doors will open, and again, this experience will open those doors for you at the end, and this guy will write nice letters for you. So, questions? Talk too much. It's not your time, I'm tired. That's why I don't teach. Yeah.
You mentioned being a part of a group with Venezuela,
Yeah.
something like that. What do you do in that capacity?
So the Venezuelan Alliance of Utah was created in 2018 with the support of the Attorney General of Utah. He's like, you guys should get together. We said that he's the godfather of the organization, and I do more the policy side. I'll say it's a small NGO because it's a small team, but it's a big NGO because of the outreach we have. And it's all volunteer, so it's our second job, you want to call it like that. And what we do there is everything from educating people who's arriving from Venezuela and Latinos in general about how things work in Utah, what you can do to get a driver's license, how do you get your degree evaluated, and so on and so on. And also we meet with the authorities explaining to them what do we see in the community right now. You know, what are the main concerns? Are there issues that they need to be aware of? If there is, you know, someone misbehaving, we'll bring it up too. Say, hey, you know, there's this group, Latinos or Venezuelans not behaving well. We bring that up as well. Whatever also communications they have that they want us to pass down to the community. So my job, my NGO job, my volunteer job, kind of like match each other or complement each other really well. So yeah, that's what I do. That's my free time.
One more.
I have a question. So, I don't know if you mentioned this already. Growing up, what kind of brought you into wanting to go into like government work and like policies and stuff?
The model UN.
Okay, what was the answer, sir?
The model UN.
Modeling, okay.
Yeah. So I was.
Did you do modeling in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I did model UN in Venezuela, like since I was in what? It will be junior high here. So we started back then when you are in junior high. But when I wanted to join, they told me you have to be part of the protocol, which is like, you know, bring water. Well, back then it's a different setting. So you have this classroom here, you're all delegates, and we have the protocol. Those will be the kids that will bring you water, like paper to write down and stuff like that. It will support the committee. I didn't want to do that. I was like, no, I want to be a delegate. So I waited a year, and I was 7th grade and 8th grade, I joined, and as a delegate, I represented China. And it was an interesting setting because it was China in the Human Rights Committee, and for some reason we became the funniest committee in the whole thing because we were like fiery. Like North Korea and myself were really, really fiery. North Korea had experience already. And we were really fiery, and they thought we were more the Security Council rather than the Human Rights Committee, because it got to the point that the US put their foot down and we're saying, I don't care, we can go to war if you want. So we like super into it while they were doing crisis in Security Council, and it was so boring that they just like, no, we're gonna throw the crisis down to the DH. So we swapped characters. It was crazy, but it was great. So that was my first experience. That was brought me into this, and from there, you know, keep going and keep moving, and then joining the UIMF, creating the committee here and the small UN here. So yeah, that's what.
Sorry, I apologize because we have a couple of minutes left before the end of the class, and then the students will come here, and Janessa would like now to make a presentation.
Oh,
yeah?
thank you.
There's a stress ball.
My stress ball. Do we still have those ones?
Oh, yeah.
Man, do they say UIMF still?
Oh, yeah.
They're like the
No,
friendly.
they say, off
Yeah, that's like.
the yeah.
Yeah, I have like 20.
What did you say?
$5-gallon bucket at home.
You know what we'll do with this? When I was here, we'll grab the wall.
Whenever we come campus back, would give us.
Yeah. We'll grab it and throw it against the wall every time that we're meeting with Beck. Okay, Beck, let's go ahead.
So then, guys, with your permission, I'm stopping recording.